Everton 1, Sunderland 3. It is the Royal Blue post-match reaction with me, Ian Croll. Joining me is Tony Scott, and we are outside Hill Dickinson Stadium after what was a... Tony, I can only really describe that as a disgusting, horrendous result and display. I don't know whether you agree with me there or not. Is that too harsh? But I'm really, really disappointed the way that's gone.
Yeah, there's a lot of frustration there, and rightly so. It was lethargic. It's void of all ideas, and considering we were so close to, I think it is at one stage today that Everton were in 8th position, only a couple of points behind 6th, believe it or not, and that just goes to show how close they've come this season. But hopes and any aspirations of European football next season are being firmly put to bed and diminished because of that performance. It's not just because of that performance, obviously it's the recent performances, and when you're starting with a back four of Vitaly Mikalenko, James Tarkowski, Michael Keane and Jake O'Brien, you're kind of glutton for punishment, because the recent record tells you they're conceding an average of 2 goals per game. Yeah. And it's not just that, they're having to sit in deep. And I knew this game would be tough. I think I called it on our preview show that I think I predicted 1-1. And that was probably being kind, because every team that sits deep against Everton here at the Hill Dickinson Stadium, Everton have found it really difficult to break down.
But Sunderland weren't great themselves though, were they? It's not like they came there and overrun Everton, or like they were playing like free-flowing attacking football. You know, from us it was passive, it was slow, it was laboured, the build-up was, you know, I think one thing that's been forgotten in the midst of some of these results against Liverpool and Manchester City at home, we know we're coming up against tough teams, but the home form has been absolutely shocking again this season, and so it proved again with another.
It's been shocking against the teams that are willing to sit deep. It wasn't shocking. The performance against Liverpool wasn't shocking. Neither was the one against City. Neither was against Chelsea. Why? Because they came to come and play football and defended the high line, which suited Everton to play in behind. When teams like Sunderland and all them teams that we've struggled against this season sit deep, we've struggled big time because we can't create. Now, for me today, I think it was the final moment today. The game was in the balance, 1-1. They were going for it. We were going for it to a certain extent. But Sunderland made about 3 or 4 changes, going for it. They brought, obviously, Isidore on, Broby comes off. And I thought that was a defining factor for me. Everton took better off. Obviously, he didn't do much today. In fact, he had a gilt-edged opportunity to go through on goal, and his first touch let him down. He comes off, Barry comes on. They bring Broby off after scoring, and Isidore comes on and score. And I'm going, that's it. I'm not defending Moyes, far from it. I thought the substitutions were too late. I thought the back four should have been changed a lot earlier, because Jake O'Brien was quite clearly struggling throughout the game. You could see after 10 minutes he was struggling. So David Moyes should have changed it quite a lot during that game, the impact of the game. But
not just in this game, though, so is
no,
it?
No, of course it's not.
You say that about, obviously, teams come and sit with a bit of a low block, and that's fine. I get that. I accept it. It's on Everton to break the opposition down. Like I understand it. But with, you know how many times we've got to say a centre-back playing right-back? We were so devoid of ideas on that right-hand side. Now, look, I know Merlin Rowe scored today. Fair enough. I don't think he had his best game, but I thought he did all right. I thought he did okay, but he had a pot shot, it got deflected and it goes in. He's not a right winger, is he?
No, of course, yeah.
But Moyes seems to be of the mindset that these players will work their way in the side even if it's not in their best position, and it goes back to square pegs and round holes. You know, do you really need a Jake O'Brien, a centre back, as your right back against the Sunderland side, who were really, like I say, they didn't come and play free-flowing attacking football, Sunderland. I thought they were quite poor. If anything, if
just this was on the counter.
Yeah, we just let them settle a little bit, and you know, I know Beto, like you say, Beto had that. We had that one opportunity where the cross comes in, and Beto, it's
first touch was absolutely.
It is a push, but everyone was poor today.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Everyone was shocking. Barry comes on, does absolutely nothing. With 20 minutes to go, I know. Look, we go back to when he came on. He made that impact against City. He's done absolutely nothing since then, and even before then. All he did against City was score them 2 goals, and that's fine. He didn't have a major overall impact on the game. Back to this game, look. A lot of people just questioning why Jake O'Brien has continuously played at right back. I knew you were going to go to that, but I've told you the options, and I've provided evidence in shows previously where James Garner can play right back, or Nathan Patterson can play right back. We're so devoid of ideas going forward on the right hand side. We've just got nothing going forward whatsoever from that point of view. Jake O'Brien gets to the byline, or he gets to, it's not his fault, I'm not blaming him. I think he's going to be an outstanding centre back for Everton, and I just don't think it's fair on him. I mean, that touch, Whether individual
It was
mistake.
a bad pass, it was terrible. And regardless whether you're playing centre-back or right-back, that pass, it just literally goes straight to the Sunderland player. So it doesn't matter what natural position you are. As a professional footballer, that pass, it was just like, go and have a goal, it was a gift. Tarkowski could have got even closer to the centre-forward, and Broby just knocks him out the way, and slots home. It's no coincidence. Everton's defence has fallen off a cliff since Jared Brantwaite fell out the side completely. And that is it in a nutshell. There's no glossing over it. Vitaly Mykolenko isn't the best of full-backs. Jake O'Brien is a centre-back playing at right-back. And Michael Keane and James Tarkowski can only play when they're a low block. So we're devoid of any defender that's willing to press high up the pitch because we've got no pace. So your answer, I get what you're saying in terms of what is the answer, what can David Moyes do? He can play James Garner at right back, that is the only option. Don't even go there with Nathan Patterson in my opinion.
Patterson's played
For
there.
all 5 managers can't be wrong, but he's not good enough, Ian.
I'm not suggesting he is, but at least he can be a right back, at least he has that attacking intent going forward. Do you really need a Jake O'Brien for his defensive capabilities as a right back against Sunderland? I mean, he's made the mistake, he's the one who's made the mistake there and let
in the
Sunderland
end,
in.
yeah, and again, I take that argument, but as we're seeing it from fans, can 5 managers all previously, your Lampard, your Dyche, and obviously now to David Moyes, can they all be wrong not selecting Nathan Patterson?
I'm not
it tells you everything. So what's the only option? James Garner at right back. So then you're taking your best midfielder, who's been our player of the season, who's the only probably one who was covering every blade of grass today. You stow him at right back, and then all of a sudden you're changing the midfield and putting him in there. Who's the centre of Everton's midfield?
I'm dropping Kieran Dewsbury deep, who had an absolutely shocker of a game.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm playing Charlie Alcaraz.
Well, he looks dead on his feet as well, Dewsbury. And one thing before...
He's been overused?
Well, mainly, probably, yeah. But I think one thing I want to get off my chest as well, a player who we absolutely adore, who's literally fell off a cliff in recent weeks, and I don't know whether he's thinking about another club or worrying about the World Cup. I think Iliman Ndiaye's body language has been absolutely shocking over the past couple of weeks. Shocking. He's been put through 1 goal against Crystal Palace, let himself down, and obviously today when Everton was 1-1, because I put the game to bed there, putting us 2-1, and it's not just the finishing, it's his body language. I looked at the highlights of the Brighton game when we were here back in August, and he was on the front foot, he was aggressive, he was getting tackles in. He didn't lay a glove on today. It's the work ethic. His body language tells you he's just sluggish and lethargic.
I think the whole team's body language. I think the mentality going into this game from the off, when you've got this chance of Europe and you put in a performance like that, results have pretty much gone our way today.
They have, but
we've come up with that. We've conjured up that performance. Did that team? Did Everton? Did the players? Did the staff? Not going to say to the manager because I think he did want Europe. Did they actually really want Europe? Do they want to be playing in the Conference League every Thursday night? I've got a question.
There's your answer.
Based on that
There's your
answer,
yeah, that's your answer. The players have shown their answer there to their true colours. Obviously they don't. When they put that performance in against the Sunderland have gone above us tonight because they wanted it a little bit more. And I think a key factor of that game, when the game was in the balance, obviously Sunderland go bang, 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 three changes, and Everton were like, Moyes went, obviously brought Dwight McNeil on, and you're thinking, what's that going to do? Seamus Coleman comes on. In an ideal world, I think if it was a different game, he probably would have put Nathan Patterson on. But I don't think he was going to because it was Seamus' last game.
I don't want to keep harping on about Nathan Patterson because I agree with you. Is he good enough?
He's not good enough.
No, he's not. Is he good enough to warrant a new contract? No, he's not. But there has been evidence this season, so where a perfectly balanced side has come out on top against teams on par with Sunderland. And whether that's, I know James Garner's not a right back, but he's probably our best right back at the club now. Now look, I agree with you, James Garner probably Everton's man of the match today, if you can actually call anyone as a man of the match. He covered every blade of grass, he tackled, he chased back, but that's not really, do you want your James Garner to be doing that in midfield? I'd rather...
Well, he had to once when Irabun went off because he plays a different role.
No, that's fine, but that's good for James Garner because it gets his stats up, it makes him look good. I want it to look good for Everton's midfield. I want it to look good for Everton. I want Everton to be winning matches. I think Everton would have a better chance winning matches with a proper right back at right back. So I just feel sorry for Jake O'Brien. It's not fair on him. How long are we going to persist now with Jake O'Brien at right back? And how long are we going to say, like you say, we need to hold these players to account? It's not forcing any of our best players out. We need to hold Iliman Ndiaye to account. He missed some gilt-edged chances against Man City. He's done the same there. It was weak, one of the chances that he had again there. James Tarkowski, Michael Keane, not good enough. Vitaly Mykolenko, not good enough. But we've had performances this season, we've had results this season where when you play your players in your proper position, where you can be a little bit flexible, you can be a little bit fluid, don't pick the same 11 over and over again. Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, like I say, he just looks flat. He's devoid of any ideas. You know, that link up and combo that he's had with Illiman and Dye over the course of the season, that's proved well for Everton. It's not there now. It's not there anymore.
I agree. But do you think, like, in terms of players being, isn't that just where we are at the moment? In terms of, like, you know, we're all frustrated and everything else, in terms of putting players into account, but isn't that is our level? We've won 6 all season here. We've won quite a lot away from home. That's probably where we deserve to be with this current squad, would you say?
I think if the manager makes a few, I know it's different with hindsight, and it's easy to say with hindsight, if the manager makes a few different decisions, different team selections over the course of the past couple of weeks, I think we picked up more points, if I'm being totally honest.
Yeah, but there's an argument to say, again, I don't want this to come across as a Moyes apologist, far from it, but there's been games this season where he's threw McNeil in at Newcastle and we thought, what's he done there? And Everton have got a result. I just think in the past couple of weeks, he's been left found wanting when managers have reacted to change. And he's just waited that little bit longer in the Merseyside derby. And to be fair, they were brilliant against City. So I just think against West Ham and obviously Crystal Palace last weekend here, Sunderland made 3 subs there, and Everton were like sluggish to make another change. And I'm going, can we? And I get it. What are the options? What are the options? You're going, there's an Alcaraz on the bench, there's a Dibbling on the bench, there's a Harrison Armstrong,
that's the point, though,
and you're going,
why are they
going to win us that game? Is Tyler Dibbling going to win us that game of football?
Well, Kieran Dewsbury-Hall and Illiman and Dye didn't look like they were going to win us that game.
I agree. I would have taken off Illiman and Dye at half time. He was winding me up, and he was winding up a lot of Evertonians just due to his work ethic. And listen, players will have bad games, don't get me wrong, and Dye's been great for a large part of the season. But over the last 3 or 4 weeks and today, his body language was nowhere near good enough. And I think when you've lost your best centre back, who's going to get you up the pitch in Jarrad Branthwaite, when you lost your most creative player in Jack Grealish through injury, when you've obviously, that's when you're dependent on a Kieran Dewsbury-Hall and an Illiman and Dye. And maybe the season's took its toll on them because they've carried this team for large parts of the last 5 months because of no Jack Grealish, because of Jarrad Branthwaite being missing. Everton can't get up the pitch as much.
Look, I think you're right with Branthwaite. Let's talk about that for a little minute, because you are right. I think things have took a bit of a nosedive since he's obviously come back and then got injured. But there was times in the season where it was just Keane and Tarkowski, and we did cope. I know there was a couple of games, say against Tottenham, maybe Newcastle, where we did concede quite a few. But like I say, if we're doing that, and we're doing that now, you've got a Jake O'Brien, who you're playing, who could easily fit in as a centre-back. Be a little bit more ruthless in that respect.
I agree.
If it's not working, if you're conceding the goals, what's that now? Is that 14 goals in 6?
They conceded 2 per game since Branthwaite's been left out. Well, obviously, come injured, and that's an issue because we can't go into next season with that back 4. We just can't. Well, we know Seamus is going anyway. Patterson's surplus to requirements by the looks of it. Mikalenko's quite clearly not good enough. And the 2 centre-backs, if they start games of football for Everton have to have a low block. So when teams come here, they'll defend a low block, and it's like, take your chance from set pieces. And that's the games that have decided here at Hill Dickinson. When teams have come here and sat back, Everton have found it really difficult to get up the pitch because they've got 2 defenders that can't run.
I'll tell you, there was times in that game there where there was space for the fullbacks to run into, to overlap, and they just didn't do it.
Because it's because they're not good enough.
If we don't go and sign 2 attacking fullbacks, as in a left back and a right back in the summer, then I don't know what the plan is.
Well, isn't that the question there today, is that what's the ambition from the owners? Because there's Sunderland there. Everyone's questioning, Sunderland's come here and beat us. Sunderland has spent 200 million. What did we spend? 100?
That's the priority for me over any position, including
Everton are the
striker.
lowest spenders in the last 2 years. I think they're 18th in the lowest spenders. So the ambition from the owners has got to say, right, it's all well and good putting fingers at players and managers and whatnot. What about the owners here in terms of the ambition of the football club?
Take all that into consideration.
You've got to, Ian, because the squad is what it is. We'll finish where we are because we deserve to be there. Everton this time last year, 12 players left the football club. 12 players left the football club, and then we brought players in. Some of them have been good, some of them haven't been a bit part team. But while we were bringing them players in, the rest of the Premier League was spending 200, 300, 400 millions. We weren't doing it.
I know, but you know, let's not turn this into a recruitment show. But
no,
yeah,
but it's going to be.
You've got 40 million on Dibbling. You've got 28 million on Tierno Barry. You've got
quite clearly not good enough. So that's on the recruitment.
Well,
and that's
good enough to Barry's good enough to come off the bench. I don't think he's good enough, but
You
he came
can't
off
be
the
trying
bench
to
today.
centre forward to just do enough off the bench for 30 million. That's no way. You need to sign players.
He's not good enough to start though, is he?
Well, like all these football clubs, like Sunderland, Broby and your Isidores of the world, they all of a sudden they're setting the world alight because they're doing the recruitment properly. It looks to me as if Everton this season, in the last summer, but I think when you see games like that, it brings it home about the importance of recruitment. The fact that Sunderland went bang, 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 made 3 subs, and Everton, yeah, I admit, Moyes should have brought, in my opinion, I thought he would have brought Alison Armstrong on. Alison Armstrong, centre midfield, and put James Garner right back.
The fresh legs clearly helped Sunderland. I've got no doubt about it, and they finished the game. The team. But I don't think Everton started the game well. Look, Everton were lucky to go in 1-0 at half time. I thought they were poor. I thought it was laboured. It was passive. I mean, I've just tweeted out there, and maybe I was a little bit harsh because the way we're a little bit passionate here, and we're trying to keep our composure a little bit. That was from start to finish. Even when we went 1-0 up, it was shambolic for me. It really was. It was I'm going to go as far as to say it was the worst result and worst performance of the season, and coupled with the fact that we had the chance to qualify for Europe. Results have gone our way. I know Brentford have ended up nicking a draw, but Sunderland overtaking us there. The chance of Europe, that's what these players should be willing to fight for, to go 110% for everything, and there was barely 50%, I'd say, from each individual player there.
I think one thing that stood out for me, especially in the first half, a lot of them looked dead on the feet. They looked literally physically done in. And I was like, oh, Jake O'Brien was struggling.
Where's this come from though? Because we had a 3-week break now. I know some of them have had international duty, but that Chelsea game,
but again,
the energy that we had in that Chelsea game, it's nowhere near.
Because listen, that Chelsea game, it was a night game. Everything fell into place. They defended high up the pitch under Rosenior. It suited our pattern of play. That's our only ball, Ian. That is our only ball when teams come press. It's no coincidence. Everton have been brilliant away from home this season. Why? Because teams will press high up the pitch against us, and we can get the ball in behind for Beto to chase onto. Again, when the big teams have come here to Will Dickinson this season, Liverpool, Manchester City, obviously Chelsea, they've come up the pitch, bang, Everton have got in behind them. When teams have sat back against Everton have been left found wanting because there's no creative players on the pitch. They're devoid of all ideas. The centre-backs can't get up because they're too slow.
We're agreeing in what we're saying, the limitations of our team from an attacking sense, certainly from the right-hand side, when we're up against we're not a poor team, but a limited team in Sunderland, when we've got a Jake O'Brien as a right-back, you've got a player playing out of position in Malin Roll on the right, and he's only just come in, let's face it. We've had Ndai on the right-hand side. Now, I know that's not necessarily a square peg in a round hole, but we're agreeing. The limitations of that team moving forward with that lineup. Why can't the manager see that? Why can't he try and do something a little bit different?
I thought he would have done something today, especially in the second half. It was frustrating for me when Sunderland made them 3 changes. Although obviously they're bringing maybe a better calibre of player on. I would have liked to have seen, come on Dibbling, let's see what you've got for Ndai. Let's see what you've got for 25 minutes. Ilman and Ndai has strolled around that pitch today. I thought, let's see what Dibbling's got for the last 25 minutes. Let's see Alison Armstrong in the centre midfield. Let's put James Garner at right back. Let's go for it. But Everton Moyes just mulled over it, and next minute the game was gone. What's the point
of him being on the bench? Well, he's obviously made this conscious decision that I'm not going to play Dibbling now between now and the end of the season, because if he does something that he makes a mistake or he has a bad performance, it might ruin him further. But all this talk or all these reports or rumours that he hasn't settled, that it's not looking ideal for him. The only way he's going to settle, certainly on the pitch, is by playing coming on as a sub, scoring goals, making an impact. Building that confidence up, and he just hasn't had that impact. I'm not suggesting starting from the off, but at least there, come on, you maybe 1-1, 2-1 down before you go 3-1 down and it's too late. At least give the guy a chance instead of the guy Dwight McNeil you tried to sell for 20 million in January.
I think what's damning the fact that Tyreek George over the past couple of weeks just came on ahead of him.
He's coming on the left though, hasn't he?
Yeah, but whichever way you go, so he went on the left and Ndai obviously swapped over to the right, but every single week George is coming on ahead of him, Barry's coming on, and it's going like, how bad must you have to be in training, and what are you doing at Finch Farm?
I know
not
you
to be impressing the manager,
training, but I just can't see the likes
of
McNeil.
We don't know what's going on. Like everyone's saying, like, why isn't he playing Alison Armstrong? Now I love Alison Armstrong. I think he should be playing. I think he's got the composure to play at the Premier League level. It's frustrating because I think that was a prime example there of Moyes just being not frustrated, just but waiting to make substitutions when the Sunderland manager went bang, 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 3 subs, the game was gone, while Everton was stuttering over substitutions. And I think that was a big key factor for me, is that the game was in the balance, it was there to be got at, Sunderland reacted, and the game was over for Everton to react back.
Right, I want to try and talk about at least one positive if we can. Seamus Coleman, obviously, not necessarily retiring from football, but he's obviously leaving Everton after 17 years, is it?
17 years.
Look, I know difficult, a lot of the fans left, and you know that's fair enough, but he got a really good reception at the end there, so the players gave him a bit of a guard of honour. Let's finish on Seamus Coleman. He came on, obviously he was never going to make an impact, was he, let's face it.
He was actually limping off at the end as well. I think that puts all the rumours to bed of making him start, because obviously he's nowhere near fit.
Well, it might be worth then just to try and summarise what an Everton career that he's had and what a player he's been. He's been a very important player for Everton, not just on the pitch but off the pitch as well.
I had sympathy for him there coming on towards the end, because obviously it was very, very difficult. In an ideal world would have been coming on, Everton would have got the 3 points, but it wasn't to be. And I actually had sympathy for him. He's coming on with his kids and his wife, and the stadium was half empty. I just had lots to say, and it was gutting for him. It really, really was. And obviously there was a lot of ex-players there to say the farewells to him. Tim Cahill was there, Lee Carsley, Wayne Rooney. There was a lot of ex-players there to say goodbye to him. And yeah, it was a shame, because obviously it was a half-empty Hill Dickinson, and he was waving to an half-empty crowd, and that was really sad to see. But listen, from obviously from my perspective, he's been one of the key players why Everton are here playing Premier League football at this stage, and because without him I think we'd be playing Championship football inside the stadium. I really do. He's been the glue that's kept that football club together in difficult times, through PSR issues, through manager sackings, through takeovers, through whatnot. He must have added more managers and more players to that WhatsApp group than ever before, and he probably deserves a really good rest this summer, and the best wishes to him. Listen, Evertonians are very sceptical about a lot of things, and we're all frustrated about a lot of things, and we'll have an argument and a debate about anything. But when it comes to Seamus Coleman, I think it's unanimous in what we all think of him. He's a hell of a player. He's been a hell of a player for Everton Football Club. He's been a hell of a captain. He's been a brilliant ambassador for Everton Football Club on and off the pitch. And hopefully he'll be back one day soon. I can't thank him enough for what he's done for this football club, because we'd be in a very, very difficult position without him.
So I was going to finish off on a positive, but I've just looked at the league table, and as we speak and as we're recording right now, Newcastle are winning 2-0, and we've moved down to 12th.
Oh, thanks for that, Ian.
Okay, well, that is your post-match Royal Blue podcast.
Oh, thanks for that.
I don't really think I've got any final thoughts. I've tried to be as composed as I can. You can go and read me tweets. I'm sure you can go and read Tony's tweets. And we will be back again. There is no Monday show actually on the Royal Blue podcast this week. We are going to be back on Tuesday, and then we will be back Wednesday to look ahead to the Spurs game. So if you fancy it, come and join us. Tony, thanks very much.
You're welcome, Ian. We'll be back in the studio this week. Looking forward to the game against Spurs at the Capital, and that's our last game. I'm sure there'll be a lot of players last games, including Dwight McNeil, Seamus Coleman. It's just a guy, if he starts, I think there'll be a good summer clear out and a lot of change in Everton Football Club in the summer.
Okay, I've been Ian Croll with Tony Scott, and this has been your Royal Blue post-match reaction.